We need to, A, reduce our pressure on the Earth system, and B, to increase the productivity of Earth, which of course means green investment. The idea was to create a grammar, an economic grammar, for all societies, because I think economics is universal language, but it has been misused, hence the need for the review. I've tried to reconstruct economics and provide a unifying grammar, so the fisherman can use it, just as the farmer can use it, just as the government official can use it, and most importantly, the citizen. We underestimate the power of the citizen. We saw the outrage of the football fans in England over the proposal to have a Super League. And the whole idea, which was bankrolled by enormous amounts of money, was crushed within 2-3 days. There was this outrage because people cared. But somehow, for reasons I think we can appreciate, we don't have that sense of urgency with regard to nature. So I don't expect to see within my lifetime the kind of change I'd like to see happen, even although it is my generation which has been this central cause of this enormous disparity between what humanity takes out of the Earth system and the ability of the Earth system to meet that demand. Two broad points that should convince you that poverty alleviation and protection of nature writ large go hand in hand is because the poorest in the world depend on nature proportionately greater than we do. And secondly, they're sitting in the midst of enormous amount of biodiversity because the poorest in the world are in the tropics, which is where biodiversity is richest. So they're giving away natural products to us at a price which is lower than what they deserve. There are methods of reallocation by which we can all benefit by reorienting production. Not just the poor, but also the rich. As a first cut, we should remove the subsidies that we pay to exploit nature. Currently, it's of the order of $4 to $6 trillion per year. Secondly, we have vast swaths of biomes which are free, completely free to use. They're open seas, and we use it for transportation, we use it for fishing, but we don't pay any rent because there's no person to collect the rent. Nobody owns it. Likewise with the atmosphere, which is a sink for our pollutants, including carbon. We're not paying for it. The question which really excites me most is what might be needed at the international level to bring this about in a coherent way. I mean, the changes in the pricing structure. At the end of the Second World War, some transformative changes took place in the creation of international organizations like the World Bank, the IMF, the Marshall Plan. And these were institutions designed to solve some public goods problems. We desperately need international institutions created to handle the global commons of the kind that I mentioned previously. And it won't be costly, just the reverse, if it is enabled to charge us for the use of these goods. And that will be a huge revenue generator, which could be used to compensate countries from not tearing down the tropical rainforests. So there's a huge amount of change that can be brought about, provided we are bold. Special reference to chartered accountants. The accounting methods that we now have in place are completely out of kilter with what we are discussing, because natural capital doesn't enter into even the national accounts of national economies. We estimate GDP, but GDP doesn't measure the depreciation of nature that goes hand in hand with growth of national income. So the accounting system needs to recognize that nature is an asset, and the natural capital in its hundreds and millions and trillions forms that it appears should be taken into account when you are appraising a project, designing a project, and recognizing that some of these objects will not be given a price because we don't have a price, it's zero. So accountants don't need to rewrite accountancy. What they need to do is to expand the vocabulary with which they do the accounting.